question. How many decisions have you made in your life? Career or business? 1,000, 5,000, 10,000? How many have been good decisions, bad decisions, or even difficult decisions? Me? I estimate I've made 240,000 in the last 20 years. How did I come up with that? I reckon I make 50 decisions a day. That's 250 in a 5-day week. It's 1,000 a month, 12,000 decisions in a year. Over 20 years, that's 240,000 decisions. And I estimate 80% of them, and my wife would agree, have been bad decisions. 192,000 bad decisions. That still leaves 48,000 good decisions. Today, however, I want to share my 3 most difficult decisions and a very powerful, practical, 3-step process that takes less than 2 seconds to complete. That can enable you to prevent yourself from stagnating and to progress to the next stage of your journey. But first, please, indulge me. Touch your nose. Go on, invite you now. Touch your nose. If you just completed that exercise, you probably got the result that you wanted. Why? Because of 3 very specific reasons. Number 1, you had the desire to touch your nose. You just did it. You didn't think about the 30 bones from your fingertips to your elbow. You probably don't even know the names of those 30 bones. You just did it. Number 2, you believed you could touch your nose. There was no doubt, no worry, no fear, no talking yourself out of it. You didn't even try to overanalyze the millions of protons and electrons that had to fuse together as a quark of light to create the reality you wanted. And number 3, you expected to touch your nose. Guess what? You got the result you wanted. I want to share 3 challenges that I had to embrace and endure, but I had the desire, the belief, and the expectation to prevent myself from stagnation and progressing to the next stage. My first challenge happened in 1983. I remember waking in a room, a dark, black room, and a voice to my right said, "Fraser, you've been shot. Your eye was badly mangled and we've had to extract it." I had a sharp recall of the intense pain as I fell to my knees and the blood pouring down my face. As I struggled to get up and get along the rugged coastline and the half-mile from the salmon bothy, up the path along the cliff, back into the village to the doctor's surgery, where I collapsed. Now, in the hospital, my head was covered in bandages. How would you feel if that happened to you? Me, I couldn't even speak because of the trauma. I just kept repeating 3 questions over and over in my head. What am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? If I had no chance of failure, what would I do next with my life? What about you? What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? If you had no chance of failure, what would you do next with your life today? Me, I was still at school. I felt that my future career was over before it even began. I had a hobby in the Army Cadet Force and I enjoyed it. I thought I was good at it. But it's amazing what you can achieve when you've got the desire, the belief, expectation. The result? I went on to become a marksman, ironically, in the 2.2 rifle. I was awarded the Lord's Lieutenant's Cadet for Bamshire by Her Majesty, and I escorted Prince Philip at the trooping of the colour. Desire, belief, and expectation. My second challenge happened in 1996. But first, let me ask you, have you ever felt like packing in your job and doing something completely different? Have you? Maybe it's because you feel undervalued, unappreciated. Perhaps you want less stress, more money. I know I have. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I was leaving my wife, Wendy, and the 3 kids behind. I was driving to Aberdeen, and then I was flying down to London Gatwick, then getting in a train and going to the office in Fareham, where I was working with a cosmetics company. And I had this idea brewing for a while about starting a business. You'll never guess doing what. It was selling products made from seaweed. And this day, I'd had one heck of a week, and I thought, no, my mind's made up, that's it. And I was flying back to Aberdeen, and I was playing through all these scenarios of what I was going to say to Wendy about this idea, and that was it. I was committed. I'd packed in my job that morning. And I was trying to work out what she was going to say, what she was going to ask me. In fact, I had no idea what was going to happen next. I landed at Dice Airport, and I met Wendy, and she says, I've got some exciting news for you. And I said, I've got some exciting news for you too. She says, I'm pregnant. And it's twins. What's your news? Oh, it can wait. And I didn't know how I was going to feed, clothe, and house 5 kids. I didn't know I was going to transport the 7 of us in a Ford Fiesta. I didn't know how I was going to fund and finance this great idea. But I had the desire, the belief, and the expectation. Was this a lean startup? Absolutely. Even the fridge was lean. The window wipers were sticking in the car. The brakes weren't that great. But a lot of hard work, a long, long days occurred. Even longer nights. There were no nights out, plenty nights in, walking the floorboards. You put one twin to sleep, having fed on. She would kick her sister. You'd get the other one up. Long nights. But again, it's amazing what you can achieve when you're focused and you want to do what you're good at and enjoy doing. The result? I did start the business with £10, and I went on to win a number of national awards. I was featured in the press. And then the UK government, having generated customers in 9 countries, put me over to Poland to address a number of economists, politicians, and entrepreneurs. But what about you? What do you want to become? Think about it. My third challenge occurred during the pandemic. I was walking along a beach with my wife, with the dogs. We were having a conversation about, I discovered a new industry worth £340 billion. Martech, marketing technology. And Wendy wanted to discuss moving from the farmhouse to be by the sea. And as we're walking along the beach, all of a sudden I started feeling not too well. Wendy thought I had a hangover. I didn't. And then, the next I knew, oh no. I knew it was serious because I'd actually been getting injections in my only eye. I've got a phobia of needles. I was getting trained by North East Sensory Services with a white stick to navigate myself unaided. And here I was in a hospital with an IV in my arm and wires all over my chest, an ECG machine. There was an eerie silence. Why? There was no Wendy, no kids, no staff. I was in the middle of a pandemic and I could hear a muffled conversation just outside the door. And I was straining to hear it when one word stood out: sepsis. Next, I remember sitting in the shower naked on a commode, water cascading all over me and the tears streaming down my face. I looked down at my leg in a clinical waste bag, petrified that my leg was going to get amputated. Worse, I thought I was going to die because of this ulcer and the infection spreading around my body because of the sepsis. It was at that moment, that precise moment, I recognized that sometimes life has got a habit of working for you, not to you. And here I was in the middle of a pandemic. Millions of lives were being changed. Industries were collapsing. Millions of people were facing hard and difficult decisions. But what about me? I wanted to help other people at this point, but I had to help myself first. I had to fire up my own engines of desire. I knew I wanted to get better. If I could, I would have one hell of a story to tell, maybe even a TED talk. And I wanted to write a book about this new industry that I'd discovered. But more importantly, I wanted my wife's dream of living by the sea to become true. But what? Where? How? Everything was on hold. Stress, struggle, limitation abound. What next? The result? Well, dreams can come true. When you've got a dream, write it down with a date. It then becomes a goal. That goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And when you action your own plan, it's amazing what you can achieve. Despite the injections in my only eye, I went on to write not just one book, but 10. I was invited to the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to address my peers at the largest event in the industry. I'm still here, I'm still married, but I'm not in the same place. No. For we actually moved house with everything going on at the time. And I now live 30 feet from the North Sea. Spectacular sunsets. And we watch the dolphins nearly every second or third day. Dreams can come true. And if you know anybody that might be facing a difficult decision, a family member, a friend, a work colleague, then please share this talk, because they'll thank you, and so will I. What's the next decision that you have to make? Who knows? Thank you.